Welcome to the Infidelity Doctor channel. This is Dr. Talal Al-Salim, and this is the Ask Dr. Talal segment. Your place to ask me any questions you want to know about affair recovery and affair prevention. Please remember, this is not a substitute for the individual and couples counseling that you're supposed to be getting. This is merely a place for you to get some basic questions answered and learn about my clinical insights when it comes to affair recovery and affair prevention. So before we get to the question of this week, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the most recent updates. All right, so let's get to the question. So the question we have in this segment is as follows. My partner was involved in a same-sex affair. Is it possible for us to rebuild the relationship? That's a very good question. I think first we have to figure out of what kind of affair was this? Was this an emotional affair? Was this a sexual affair? Because the first thing that comes to mind when they learn that their partner was involved with somebody who is the same sex as them, they start worrying about sexual orientation and the compatibility of that orientation. So think of it this way. Our view about sexuality is changing and evolving, and the same thing with our sexual identity, which is a good thing. In the past, we used to have this rigid idea about sexual identity and sexual behavior. We're realizing now that it's not as rigid as we thought it was. It's really more fluid. What does this mean? What this means is what? When you discover that your partner had an emotional or sexual or mixed affair with somebody from the same sex, part of what we need to know is the motivation behind that affair and whether or not that reason was related to compatibility or lack thereof when it comes to sexual identity as well as orientations. Unfortunately, there are a lot of folks, because of social pressures, religious pressures, never really fully got to explore their sexuality and sexual identity before committing to a relationship or before committing to heterosexual relationships. And sometimes, they never find out about those desires, identities until later on in life when they encounter a situation where unfortunately put them in a situation where they have to cross the line of fidelity with the partners that they committed to. So sometimes it's an issue of an identity and behaviors, desires, and likes that were there and just not fully explored. And sometimes it's an issue of people, identity, and behavior evolved throughout the years. So it's not always somebody who just didn't get a chance to fully explore themselves. Sometimes somebody who fully explored themselves and they thought they were one way, and life happened and they changed and they evolved, and now they are interested in something different. So where this put you as the betrayed partner, just because your unfaithful partner had an affair with somebody of the same sex does not mean that the two of you are not going to be able to rebuild. That might be a possibility if the factor is related to compatibility when it comes to orientation and desires that cannot be fulfilled within the confine of this relationship. So if your unfaithful partner realize that they're no longer heterosexual, they're strictly homosexual, right? They're not bi or anywhere in between. And that means that their sexual desires can only be fulfilled by somebody, or more optimally fulfilled by somebody who is in the same sex. Some couples might decide to change the parameters of their relationship. They said, you know what, maybe, we can have the emotional exclusivity, but when it comes to sexual exclusivity, if your desires cannot be fulfilled by me, that, I'm okay with you having sex with somebody who is more compatible with your sexual identity and orientation. Others might find out that, maybe it's time for this relationship to end, and people find partners who are more compatible with them. Now, if this is an issue of bisexuality or any other label that falls in between heterosexual and homosexual, right? Sometimes there's more wiggle room. Sometimes it's an issue of people want to experiment, and there are ways for them to have their partner fulfill some of those fantasies. whether it's through the costumings, toys, or things of that sort. So it's not always a dead end for rebuilding the relationship. But I think, again, if the factor was really related to we're not compatible because of sexual identity and orientation, and I'm more suited to be with a partner who is more compatible with me, then it might lead to that route. So hopefully that answered that question. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below about the answer that you heard today, as well as any questions that you'd like to see me answer in future episodes and segments. Until then, be well, be safe, and embrace the possibility for a brighter future. Take care.